welcome back to another episode of the Slow Runcast. I'm your host, Muhammad Ali, aka the Iraqi Balboa, and I'm joined by my friend and co-host, Derwin Luke, or as I prefer to call him, the Nintendoinator.
The Nintendo sellout.
The Nintendo sellout. The Derwinator, ladies and gentlemen. And today we got a special episode, an actual special episode, a midweek episode. This is the big Nintendo Switch 2 Direct Reactions episode. It is Wednesday, Wednesday, April 2nd. It is 9 o'clock. I'm tired. We had a busy day. We had a big day, but we've been up for a while. And when I woke up, I did not blow dry my hair, as you could see the curls that you pointed out as soon as I got on. And that is because
I was not expecting to see that.
I dragged myself out of bed this morning, bright and early for 7 o'clock, Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. Holy smokes! This is it, baby. We finally got to look at this thing and we're actually going to have a proper Nintendo Switch 2 episode instead of talking about rumors.
Yeah,
No
two.
No. We got to see the real thing in HD.
Your wife's like, I was like,
oh my god, bro! It was I don't know what I was expecting, but I actually got pretty hyped by this event here. I mean, okay, let's high level. All right, we got a release date. And for listeners who were listening to the show, this last episode that we just dropped, say hello to the new Jason Schreier, to the new video game insider. Because I literally got the Nintendo Switch 2 release date correct to the day. June 5th, 2025. Go back and listen to the last episode. I got it right, baby. What's my prize, Derwin? What is my prize?
Your prize is you get to pre-order the Switch. You are going to buy one. There's no question about it.
There's no questions about it, baby. I was telling my friends, I was like, listen, this is why I have a video game podcast. Because only I can predict the Nintendo Switch release date. Nintendo Switch 2 release date.
Are you Nintendo Jesus now?
Yeah, basically.
You gotta change your screen name.
Now you're gonna be using some AI. Anyway, we got release date. We got to look at the console itself, specs for the screen, specs for when it's docked. We got to look at what this mysterious C button is. We got to look at some accessories coming to the Switch. We got to look at some functions like Game Share. We finally pulled the Band-Aid off the heavily rumored mouse controls. They've been confirmed. We got to see them in action. We got more details about backwards compatibility, and we got a plethora of games. I have never seen this many games show up to a brand new console announce. It was insane. Game after game after game. We got a few first parties. We got a few Switch 1s, which now will have Switch 2 versions and what that entails. We got to look at some third-party games. We got to take a look at the new Mario Kart in detail, and we got a first look at an upcoming From Software game. What was it called again? The Blood? It was a weird name.
Blood Dusts or Dusk Bloods.
The Dusk Bloods. Yes, the Dusk Bloods. We got a lot to talk about, and it didn't end there, because after that Switch Direct finished, it was news after news after news. Bang, bang, bang. We didn't get a price during the Direct. We got a price after. It was almost as if they left all the bad stuff for later. We got some price news about the new games. We got some more explanation about these different editions of the Nintendo Switch 1 games that are coming to Switch 2. My apologies, my bad. We got to look at some more details about the Nintendo Switch Online GameCube reveal, a closer look at what the actual compatibility is like with some of these older games, and how it doesn't actually work on some of them. We got to look at some accessory compatibility, and more, and game key cartridges, if they contain the physical data of the game or not, or just the key. Yeah, so we got a lot of stuff to break down. I want to start with the actual direct. We'll go from the top. The actual direct, 7 o'clock, bright and early. They begin with Mario Kart World, which has been the heavily rumored Mario Kart 9 that we got a little bit of a look at back in January. It is going to be a launch day game on the Nintendo Switch, and it is, as the Derwinator predicted, a Switch 2 exclusive. What do you think?
Honestly, I'm kind of digging it. I especially like the one game mode that they announced.
The Grand Prix or the Knockout Tour?
The Knockout Tour.
Yeah.
That one looks insane.
Yeah. So we got to look at the kind of the overall structure of the game and how it is going to have a free roaming open world that you can actually just drive around in and chill in, almost like you're in Grand Theft Auto or something, or in Need for Speed before you get into an actual race. So it's kind of open world. The world is connected. The racetracks are connected to each other. And this Knockout Tour game mode that you're talking about is basically doing track after track after track, and you have to qualify a certain time or else you don't make it.
I thought it was continuous.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
track
It's like
after track.
it's just like one long ass track.
Yeah,
That's
sorry,
like,
yeah. Yeah.
doesn't stop, doesn't do anything. You just race all the way to beginning to end. It's like a rally. Almost.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I stand corrected. I was thinking about the other one, Grand Prix, which is where you go, you do the actual race tracks, and then you actually drive to the next track, and it's connected. No, like you're saying, Grand Prix of the entire, it's the Knockout Tour is a tour of the entire island or map, and you have to hit certain checkpoints, and at each checkpoint, if you don't qualify a certain time, you're out. Yeah, so 24 drivers per race as well. There's a day and weather cycle.
Yeah. There's like that? Transformations too. Did you see some of the costume changes?
Like, was it? I didn't understand that fully. Was it like environmental changes of like people on the tracks? Because I saw like it was nighttime and raining, and then you see some booze on the racetrack.
Yeah, I saw that, and then I saw like, I don't know if it was like related to an item or something like that, but like Mario turned to redneck Mario, and then Peach turned into like vintage thrifting Peach in like the tracksuit.
I didn't even notice that. I didn't even notice that. There was so much going on. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, there was a lot going on in the world. It doesn't look like it's going to be empty. Like, the last open world Arceus game. That was pretty empty.
You got to throw a dig at that.
Yeah. So, well, they're redeeming themselves, so.
Okay, well, I got a question for you. I'm not really a Mario Kart person. I'm going to tell you a shocker. Okay. I am the only Switch 1 owner who does not own a copy of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. The only one.
That's insane. I actually hate Mario Kart 2. But I have a copy. But I never play it.
I don't hate it, but my wife wanted a copy when we got a Switch 2. And I remember, or Switch 1. I'm already getting excited for the Switch 2. And I told her at the time, I was like, honey, this thing came out in 2013 on the Wii U. We are not buying a copy for $80. Don't worry, next year, probably the next Mario Kart is going to come out. That was 2019. We're 2025.
You long conned her.
So she literally said, am I going to get Mario Kart now? I'm like, yes. Yes.
Yeah. Honestly, I kind of want Mario Kart too, as well. Like, after seeing some of the big changes, I'm like, maybe I could like play. I mean, I hate the game mechanics because like I feel like it's such a luck-based game. I'm sure everybody can hate on me for this. I think it's a very luck-based game.
I don't think anyone's hating on you. It's not like it's not Forza Motorsport
Dude, it's
or
competitive,
GT7.
man.
I know, but it's not GT7 or Forza Motorsport. Like it's not a racing sim. You can't get mad at someone saying it's not, you know.
Yeah, maybe I'm just a sore loser.
Okay, I got a question for you because yeah, going back, I don't play Mario Kart. I've hardly ever played it. Um was there always flying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There was always flying, so that's not something new. And
Yeah, that's
driving on
not anything
water
new.
like a boat? I saw a
Yeah, so
boat.
like depending on the course, your vehicle will like change. So if you're going underwater, it like changes slightly the mechanics. And then when you like do big jumps, then like a glider will come out. So yeah, there's always been like gliding and underwater stuff.
Rail grinding?
Rail grinding, I'm like 99% sure that's like new because I've never rail grinded before.
Wall driving?
I mean,
They
wall
were driving
driving.
on a wall, like it was
Hey,
wall running,
it
and they
was
were
like
switching
yeah,
left-right.
it was like 90 degrees and it was like basically driving on a wall like that. No, but like there are like some maps in Mario where like you're upside down or whatever and like your wheels become like hover or electromagnetic like wheels or something like that. So I mean kind of, but not really.
That didn't feel like a track function though. What you're describing sounds like it's a track function. That felt like an actual command that
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
doing
where
to
you could
hop
like
onto the
literally
wall.
hop from like wall to wall.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I thought I saw. Tricks? Was there always like tricks? I saw like guys on motorcycles doing like tricks, like backflips and
Can't remember if there was ever tricks.
handbars, and yeah,
I mean, I'm like a noob when it comes to Mario Kart, so like if even if there's tricks, I don't
you never
know.
tried them. Okay.
I never tried them. Like, I mean, I'm sure some people played like Marvel Spider-Man and never realized that you could do tricks while you were web swinging.
I'm gonna call out my friend right now. You just remind me. I'm gonna throw him under the bus. Okay. I have a friend who doesn't not read tutorials on any video game. Like when we were trying to play
Yeah,
Monster Hunter, he was one of the guys I was trying to play Monster Hunter with. He's like, bro, just skip. Like there was a setting. Do you want to see the tutorial box every time a new thing comes up? He's like, bro, don't put that. Absolutely not. This guy. Do you remember Returnal 2021?
yeah,
Of course, right?
yes.
He didn't know there was a sprint button in Returnal. He was playing it on hard mode. He was not like sprinting in Returnal.
What?
So you just reminded me of like, yeah, people don't know how to do tricks. I'm like, oh, I just thought about him because he wouldn't read the tutorial. He didn't know the controls, so he was like playing the game on hard mode. Like his character was moving like slow in this bullet hell of a game because he wasn't sprinting. Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Shout out to Hamza Boufaris, who I was messaging during this direct when the From Software news dropped, and he was not responding because he was sick. But that guy is the king of From
Was he just
Software.
sick of your bull?
Maybe that too. Mario Kart World launch day, Switch 2 exclusive, and there
And
was
it's packaged. Don't forget that.
package with the console, which we found out at the end of the direct. They told us there's two versions of the console. One of them will be packaged with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Dude, this thing is gonna sell like hotcakes.
Oh, of course. Of course. Special direct for this game on April 17 for those interested.
Dude, that's crazy that they have a whole direct
Yeah.
dedicated to it.
I mean, it's been years. When was the last Mario Kart, brother? Almost as long as
Yeah.
the last Skyrim.
That's true.
And last
That's
Elder
true.
Scrolls. Yeah.
I'm sure they're adding a whole bunch of like quality of life features.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they have.
Big question. Do you think it'll have that Google Maps mode?
The Google Maps mode. What are you talking about? I don't get the reference.
You don't get the
I feel
reference?
dumb.
Okay,
No, I feel
so in Zelda Breath of the Wild, or no, Tears of the Kingdom, they're adding a
okay.
Switch 2
Yeah.
mode for
Yeah.
guidance within that game.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. Google
Will it
Maps
be like
mode.
you know how like Dirt 2, I think, that rally game, like they have like a navigator beside you, like
Yeah,
telling you what
yeah.
turns to
There's
take.
they're on Dirt 5 now. You know that, right?
Yeah,
Or Dirt 6.
I'm old, man. I'm old. Okay, Dirt 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they have like a navigator telling you like
Yeah.
which corner's coming up.
That's what they're
Do you
gonna do
think?
with the Mario
Yeah.
Kart. It's gonna be associated with the Switch app.
Yeah, quality of life, like
Quality.
upcoming items in whatever seconds, and then take right turn.
Yeah, yeah. Sammy, hard left, Sammy. Have you seen that? Sammy, hard left, you're destroying the car. Sammy, you don't know how to drive for shit, Sammy.
Now you got to do it in a Luigi Luigi accent.
Is a Luigi accent an Italian accent or is it like a Brooklyn accent?
I mean, it's a little bit of both, right?
Which one is it? Luigi. Why you cannot drive properly? Is it like that? It's like,
Yeah, I
Luigi,
think
what's
so,
the
right?
matter with you, Luigi? I'm trying to
Definitely more
go.
so the first one.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So not like what does Fredo say in The Godfather? I'm sorry, Mikey. I swear I didn't know. I swear I didn't know, Mikey. It's not gonna be like that. It's like gonna be like, Signore Don Corleone, allow me to kiss your ring. Is that the vibe?
I think so, or like a happy median between the two, or you can be like this Toad, like it's like nonsense because they don't want to pay a voice actor.
Is that what happened? Is our Nintendo Switch games Switch 2? Do they have voice actors? Can they handle voice actors now? Nintendo Switch
Oh,
first
I'm
party
I'm
game.
sure they can.
Moving on, the next thing they dropped is the big reveal for what I personally thought up to the build-up was the dumbest hype for whatever reason. The C button. The
Dude,
C button.
it was
that-
right in front of us, and we it just flew past our heads.
Buddy was going crazy for this. What's the C button? What's the C button? And the C button was this little button that showed up on some of the promos right under the home button or the screenshot button. It was
The
on the
home
right
button.
Joy-Con.
It was right Joy-Con right underneath the home button.
Right underneath the home button. And it's about the same size as the home button. I'm like, look, what does the C button do? I'm like, the C button is some setting button. It's not going to be for gameplay. And that's exactly what it is. The C button is used to access and use a new Nintendo function called Game Chat, which I'm going to proceed to describe as simply Discord chat for Switch. Because that's what Game Chat is. So Game Chat is this new function to allow you to talk to your friends while you game online. Its settings are accessed from the C button. It will allow you to talk to your friends via this microphone that is being added to the Switch console itself. A microphone on the top that doesn't exist on the Switch One. It is a small little tiny thing. Nintendo is claiming it is noise canceling, and you can use it when it's docked or handheld. So you don't need this mic up here just handheld. But if it's docked and you're sitting on the couch, it says it could detect your voice from far away and be able to cancel out all the noise, and you could go on your voice chat without having, and this is not a mic like the PS5 controller where the mic is on the controller. No, it's on the console itself. And you do this thing which really, if anybody has gone on a Discord chat on their phone, it's effectively the same. It looks very similar in format. You open up Discord, you get into Discord chat, and you have bubbles on each person, and you're talking. And what you can do is you could screen share. Also, the function is tied to the C button. You can screen share the game you're playing. You can screen share if you and everybody in your Nintendo game chat are playing the same game. You can screen share if you guys are all playing different games. It doesn't have to be you guys playing the same game. You can expand game screens of your friends. So the default is it'll show the game you're playing. And then under, let's say you have 4 friends, it'll show each box of them on game chat, and you could go and expand each of their boxes. The screen sharing latency, I cannot help but mention, it looked absolutely god awful. Did you notice that?
So bad.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing I noticed. I was
Yeah.
like, dude, like, just don't share your screen. I'm gonna be annoyed just looking at it.
Did you see the one where they were trying to show the screen share and they expanded one of the games
Yeah.
and it like lagged for the first little bit and then it started working?
Yeah, and then it would like stutter every so often. That's probably with like really good internet too.
Well, I mean, they put it in the direct, so I don't.
Yeah.
I think that tells us it doesn't get any better than that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, and then here's the catch: it is only available for Nintendo Switch Online members, so you can't use Discord.
I
The
mean,
Switch.
it does make sense though. Like I just automatically assume like online services equals you have to pay on a console. So like
You
I
can't get
don't
on a
think it
PlayStation Party without gold. Without not gold.
well
Not
what's
gold. What
well
do you call it?
PlayStation Plus? I mean, but what's the point, right?
Yeah, you just want to chat with your friends.
Yeah, it's called a phone.
No, but you like I do it all the time. A lot of times when I'm gaming, because Discord integration is available both on PlayStation and Xbox, uh, especially because I like the microphone on the PS5 controller, and it kind of cancels out the noise from the TV versus when I'm on speaker on Discord on my phone, it
Hmm.
doesn't. I just connect to Discord on my controller, and 9 times out of 10, I'm literally playing another game than what everybody else is playing, and we just chat, and that's it. And
That's fair.
if somebody wants to share their screen on what they're playing, they share their screen or whatever. And yeah, so I could see why you'd want to do this
Yeah.
without
Do you
maybe
think
wanting
they're
to switch
dropping
on.
Discord support then?
I'm thinking that's what's the point? I don't see the
Yeah.
point of Discord.
Yeah.
And
Which is
so
unfortunate. A lot of people love Discord.
it's great. It's, so this thing is gonna be it's gonna be free. You have to have a Nintendo Switch Online membership to use this game chat function, but it's gonna be free until March 31st, 2026, as kind of a beta trial period. And then as part of all this, they introduced us to the first, I guess, officially announced Nintendo Switch 2 accessory, the Switch 2 camera, which is literally it looks uh like a table lamp, and
Yeah.
it's just a camera on a stand, and you connect it with a USB-C to your Switch, and it showed us how this camera can integrate with this game chat function, whereby you can, instead of just being on game chat in voice, you could have basically a webcam. And so when you're on game chat, you could see everyone's face. You can also see everyone's face in game chat and stream the game you're playing. So you could see what everyone's playing, whether it's the same game or different games. And then you could see everyone's face. So it was showing functions of like they're all playing the same game online, like Mario Kart, and you could see each person's face. So just kind of like look at our reactions. They
Yeah.
showed one where somebody was playing like what looked like Wii Sports or something like that,
Yeah.
and
Was
there
it
was like
that
a
volleyball game?
yeah, and there
Almost?
was
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
camera function, so you could see the two people on one side, two people on the side. Although I can't help but notice they never mentioned Wii Sports, not Wii Sports, Switch Sports, anywhere else in the thing in the whole direct. So I was kind of like, hmm. And then they showed off a specific game. They showed off how it would work this Nintendo Switch 2 camera for specific cases, especially Mario Party.
Yeah. Mario
So
Party
in
Jamboree, right? And
yeah,
the add-on Jamboree TV or something like that.
yeah. So there's like a function where like your character in Mario Party is being followed by your like face, an icon of your face, and you're like laughing on the camera or whatever. And I'll get into more Mario Party details down the line, but there's also other functions where the camera works. So this camera is a standalone. It doesn't come with the actual Switch 2.
Yeah.
So you're gonna cop the camera, of course, right, Derwin?
Yeah. I'm gonna be a streamer.
On terrible latency.
Yeah. There's no chance that that Nintendo is gonna let you stream their games from the Switch.
You don't think
There's
so?
Oh, absolutely not. They take down streams of like people playing their games on YouTube.
You don't
There's
think
no shot.
you don't think this might have something to do with trying to let you stream better? This
No,
camera?
this camera is purely for you to communicate with your friends. I'm calling
Copy.
it right now. There's
No way
no
I could
way.
use this camera to stream.
No.
Stay tuned, folks. You heard it here first. The Derwinator makes some claims.
Yeah, there's no chance. Nintendo is not known for letting people stream their IP.
You're right. I mean, I'm not gonna fight you back, but I'm still holding up hope that
Yeah.
maybe. They also showed us a new function called Game Share, which allows you to use one game, one physical copy of the game, whether digital or sorry, one copy of the game, whether physical or digital, to use it to play on multiple systems, whether local or online. And this is going to be implemented for a handful of compatible games, which seem to be mostly multiplayer
Yeah,
focused,
like couch co-op
couch
basically.
co-ops. So I stand corrected. Locally and online will only work for Switch 2 to Switch 2 consoles. Switch, you can do this also with Switch 2 to any one of the Switch 1 variations, whether it's the OG, the OLED, or the Lite, but only locally. So if me and you want to play online using one copy of a game, we need to be
both have
both
to
on
have
Switch
Switch
2.
2.
Otherwise, we got to be local on Switch 1 or any combination.
Okay, I have a question, or like a possible prediction for you for game share. So Mario Kart supports 24 players in one race. Do you think we can buy one copy of Mario Kart World and share it with 24 people as long as we're in the same vicinity?
No, because the game share function, they kind of showed that it only works for 4
Yeah.
consoles at a time, and they emphasized only compatible games. They're not going to let you buy one copy of Mario Kart and get away with it. They showed the games that they said this was meant for. They were more like, there was like Uno, and there was like some other party games. It was not meant for some big first party Switch games. The first game where this is going to work for is a game called Clubhouse Games 51 or something like that. I've
Yeah,
never heard of this
must be
game, but
tabletop games.
yeah, it's a bunch of
Sounds of it.
tabletop
Yeah.
games. So they said that was the only game they confirmed that's going to have this function. And then after all they got all of that out of the way, they hopped right into the actual physical specs of the Switch 2. It is the same thickness of this as the Switch 1. It has an LCD screen, much to my dismay, but the Derwinator gets it right, folks. The screen is 7.9 inches compared to the 6.2 inches of the Switch 1. It is claimed to be able to support 1080p at 120 frames per second with HDR support, which the Derwinator did not think would be possible. He's kind of right. He's kind of wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And this is compared to the 720p of the OG Switch. Claim that this screen has double the pixels. So yeah, 120 frames per second, 1080p with HDR support. They showed us a look at some of the HDR further later in the show. We took a closer look into the Joy-Cons. They connect magnetically, which we were kind of aware of. They have a release button to let go of the magnets. Apparently, they're strong enough that you can't just pull them off.
Yeah, I think they explained it as, or that game explained it as, it runs like an electrocurrent to enhance the magnetism when it's like when the
Connected.
release button isn't pressed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so when you press it, it weakens, and you could theoretically pull it off a lot easier.
Naturally, the Joy-Cons are larger because the Switch is larger, and so our SL and SR buttons are bigger for when we're holding an individual Joy-Con, which was always a problem on the Switch 1 for anyone with big hands.
Dude, those were the worst.
Yeah, they were terrible. And then if you couldn't find the actual thing that goes on the individual Joy-Con,
yeah, you're just stuck with like the worst buttons.
Yeah.
Dude, I remember playing what's that cooking one? Overcooked. With that, oh my god, drove me insane. And Mario Kart with the small SL and SR buttons.
I think I only ever do it for Mario Party, but yeah. The left and right sticks are bigger, so the joysticks are larger than they were before, and they confirmed mouse controls, which was obviously heavily rumored up to the build-up. They showed us what the mouse looks like, how it works, There's mouse controls on both Joy-Cons, not just one, and you can combine it with the gyroscopes of the controller. So you could do some really interesting functions that you wouldn't be able to do with like regular mouse, really, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean,
So
there was this one game
there,
they
yeah,
really showed it off,
yeah,
but we'll
they
talk
showed
about
it
it
off for
later.
one game, but well, they actually kind of, I think they also showed it for later on down the show for Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah, but in combination with the gyroscope
Yeah, yeah.
specifically. Yeah.
They're claiming, well, we already talked about the built-in mic. They're claiming the audio is better, and they're saying it has 3D audio even without a pair of headphones on. A better stand, 2 USB-C ports, one on top to allow you to charge your thing from on top, which was always a problem if you're trying to play laying down or something and the USB-C has to come out. Now you can plug it on top. They kind of showed its function for when you lay it on a table and your tabletop with your Switch.
Yeah, that was a good idea. Honestly, should have came with 2 USB ports.
Yeah. 256 gigs of internal storage at launch, which is 8 times larger than the Switch One, which had 32 gigs at launch. Docked, they are claiming it is 4K docked with HDR and 120 frames per second. And they are going to have a built in fan for the Switch dock to help it cool off, which tells me
Yeah.
this thing is going to be
Oh, it's
running
gonna
good.
have some power.
Yeah. Backwards compatibility for physical and digital games, both from Switch One games. Yeah, so that was kind of like a full look at the specs. Was there anything that surprised you? Anything you wanted to get into?
Um, did they never specified what type of Wi-Fi standard it came with? Hey,
No, they did not. No, I did not see
yeah,
that in the notes. They could have. There was a lot on that direct. I watched it twice,
yeah.
and
I
I still.
wonder. So it looks like it's Wi-Fi 6. Yeah, so it is a slightly older standard. They probably could have gotten like a bit better um, game game chat and game share, or no, yeah, game chat specifically in terms of quality. If they had Wi-Fi 7, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe that was kind of one of the reasons why we saw that horrendous look
Yeah, that
of.
was like kind of choppy.
Yeah.
I'm actually super hyped for the dock. Like, dude, I hated the Switch One dock. I don't know if you have the same sentiment, but I actually hated the Switch
Why?
One dock.
Why specifically? And then I will confirm.
Um, I think what really bothered me was like finding out which way to put it in. Number one,
Agreed. Yeah, that was
it was
annoying.
like it was kind of annoying.
That was annoying. I would almost always put it in the wrong way.
Yeah, and then also I just didn't really like the design of it. Like it like did nothing functional other than allow you to have the 2 USBs and like connect to the screen. A lot of the times, like in terms of what I've heard people do, is they'll literally buy a dongle instead of that ginormous block.
Yeah, I don't think it. I didn't think I cared enough
Yeah.
that it
And
bothered
then
me.
the fact that like you weren't really getting that much of a performance boost when you actually had a dock.
Yeah, yeah, that as well.
Yeah. Like honestly, I never played on a TV because it looked like dog poo poo
It does look better. It would. I feel
when
like it
you
would
have it
look
on
better handheld.
on the TV, yeah. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'm super hyped for this 4K
4K,
capability dock.
4K. Yeah,
Yeah, it is sampled, like it's like a form of like super sampling, but I mean, if it looks good, then I'm not gonna be like mad about it.
yeah,
Like 4K support is just great in general.
yeah. I mean, I think for me, just the specs for the power. I was concerned. I was a little bit worried leading in, and I know I felt like you were more on the negative side, and I was really more hopeful.
Hmm.
I didn't get my OLED that I wanted, which I can it's a pill I can swallow considering the screen size is larger, more pixels, at least 1080p handheld, 20 frames per second. The HDR I think is one of the most important functions, to be
Yeah,
honest with you. I
yeah,
mean, it's make or break for how a game looks. It's a game changer, right? For the color palette of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then docked the 4K with 120 frames and also HDR. I'm very happy about that. Very happy about the backwards compatibility, although there's caveats that we'll get to later in the show. But yeah, I was always concerned that that wouldn't be a thing, but they already confirmed that earlier. The two USB-C ports, I think, is a win, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Do you see yourself using that mouse control very often?
no,
Yeah, me neither. When they were showcasing it for Metroid, I just looked at them like, dude, honestly, I'd probably just rather like the way they were holding it too. Like they were holding one of the controllers like this. That was the one you were moving, and then the other one was like on the table, and you're like, she's like doing this.
it looks
I'm
like
like,
carpal tunnel.
dude, can you just put both on and just play it like a regular console?
It looked like carpal tunnel. That's what it
Yeah,
looked
yeah.
like. This mouse control for me looks like you're a busy person on the go, and sometimes you're in coffee shops, sometimes you're in restaurants, sometimes you're in airport. Uh, you're in the airport waiting for your flight. Uh, you know, you're traveling to some place and you're in some business meeting and you're going somewhere. I don't know, and then you just sit there on a table and you whip out your Switch 2, put it on its stand, and pull out your mouse and play Civilization 7.
Yeah,
That's what that
I think
function for
Civ
me.
7 would be kind of cool
Yeah.
with the mouse control, but like a first person shooter, I don't know.
I mean, first person shoot, like, if the mouse is really good, it does make you better, right? So theoretically, I just don't. I mean, unless you have your Switch connected to a monitor, right? I feel like it'd be a little weird. Um, like pulling it out when you're sitting. Like we'll get. I think I want to hold on to some thoughts I have about the mouse controls because they showed it off more later in the show for specific games. So maybe we'll get into it and we'll look at it. But there was like, I'll cut to the chase. Like they were showing off Mario Party Jamboree, how they're adding some new things to the game, and there was some mini games that used mouse
Mm-hmm.
controls, which I was like, so what? Like if me and my wife and my sister-in-law and her husband are over, we're gonna whip out little coffee tables in front of everyone. We're gonna pull out the mouse control, like
I actually never even thought of
and
it
then
like
we're gonna
that.
have the mouse like this, and then we're gonna be looking at the TV like
Dude,
this,
you're
sitting
also
next
going
to
to
each other.
drop $400 worth of like Canadian dollars, even more, on like compatible Joy-Cons too.
To do that if you want to do
Yeah.
it with more than one person. Yeah, yeah.
All
I don't
right.
know. I don't. It's kind of cool, but I'm kind of like not that crazy for it. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, the storage wise is like whatever. Like games are just getting bigger in size every year, so who
Yeah.
cares? You added more storage, doesn't mean anything.
Honestly, I would argue that 256 isn't even enough.
It's not. It really isn't. But 32 gigs. We do 256 now. It was 32 last time. I mean,
Yeah.
for their first party games, it is enough because they do some freaking wonders. Like compressing game files like Tears of the Kingdom to 5 gigs is insane.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So
Sorry, one more thing about the SD or sorry, storage. There's support for SD Micro Express cards.
yes,
So
yes, they
that's
did show.
different.
They did actually mention that later. They didn't give it to us right away, but they said you can't use your old micro SDs from your Switch. You got to get micro SD Express. They're the only ones that are going to work on the Switch too.
Are there any micro SD Express cards out?
I'm not sure, brother. You're the tech
Sorry,
savvy guy. You
I'm
know.
just googling it right now. I don't see anything on Amazon.
I don't know. Is this a new?
Oh, I think
You've
it might be a new standard, and
is it?
it's gonna be pretty expensive.
It's saying it's starting for $45 for 128 gigs.
That's gonna get real expensive.
That's pretty. Yeah, 45 for 128 gigs. So
That's
about
USD
$100
too.
USD. So $100 for just to get to half a terabyte on your Switch.
Oh, dude. Well, I guess we will find out if those prices will drop.
They showed off a SanDisk micro SD and they showed off a Samsung branded one, I believe.
Okay,
Am I
I'm
mistaken?
looking at sandisk.com here.
Yeah, it
Um,
says 65. I'm seeing
there's
63.
there's 256 gigabyte for $86
Well, that's
Canadian.
not bad. If you double the size, it's still bad for 256. Let's be honest with you. I bought a terabyte SSD for my PlayStation for what, another $40 more than that. So
Yeah,
it's pretty bad.
that's
This is pretty bad. Yeah, 120 gigs for 64 and 256 for 86. Just to double, so just to get your thing to.
yeah. I don't even see anything more than 256 gigabytes right now. Well, I guess I'm sure once like we give it a few years, the prices may come down a little bit more, but
I
that
don't
is a
I
little bit concerning. Launch.
I said that about solid state drives for that work with the PS5, compatible with the PS5 when they first came out, and I saw the prices. I'm like, yeah, let me wait a few years and then I'll get one for when they're more affordable. I don't know, man. I waited 4 years and they didn't go down.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you know what? We bought at a really bad time because if we bought the year before when you and I bought, because we bought it, I think, a few months apart from each other, the prices were actually at all time lows. It was just during that last year. Uh, I think Samsung, who makes a lot of the chips for it, uh, stock controlled it. So then the prices came back up because they were basically running into an unsustainable business with how cheap they were getting.
Yeah, so maybe yeah, I don't know. I'm reading these other articles. I mean, you're totally right. Like I'm reading this other article from this website that just seems like it's a tech website, Petapixel.
Yeah, they're a digital camera site mainly.
Yeah, so they're like SD Express finally has a use, but it's dumped its biggest advantage. So its final use is the Switch 2, and they're talking about the Switch 2 Direct.
That's funny.
But it dumps its biggest advantage originally touted by the SD Association, backwards compatibility. So these things were supposed to be backwards compatible with the micro SDs originally, but they're not.
Uh,
So it's kind of funny that this general tech website is talking about how these things had absolutely no use, and they were
yeah,
supposed to be backwards compatible, but now they have a use, which is for the Switch 2,
yeah.
and
I don't
they're
think.
not
Yeah, there's
backwards
probably
compatible.
not that many devices that even use micro SD Express.
Seems like none besides the Switch 2, to be honest with you. But you can buy them now. I'm not saying the Samsung ones. I'm seeing the SanDisk ones. But then I don't know. Do you want to buy this one or do you want to buy the Nintendo branded one?
I mean, are you gonna ever see it? It's gonna live in your console 24/7.
No, like is there going to be an issue with like compatibility? Is what I'm saying.
No, no. So when the standards are made, um, like they have to follow that type of, I think, transfer speed in order to meet that standard. Obviously, there's like bootleg ones, which I mean, at that point you would know right away. Um, and then the other only thing is you want to buy one from like a reputable brand.
Mm.
But other than that, like as long as it's an SD Express card, it should work just fine, regardless of like the Nintendo branding or not.
Yeah. So it's like the SSDs. Like I bought this one over here for my PlayStation back, I don't know, maybe 8 months ago or whatever now. And it's not PlayStation branded, but there's the exact same one as this, exact same WD black, same size, same specs, same, you know,
Yeah, that one
uh
has a heatsink on it, right?
yeah, it does, yeah.
Okay,
Um
perfect. Yeah,
yeah, same thing, but it was just PlayStation branded. It's the same, it's literally the same thing. Okay, well, that is yeah, micro SDs. Now they also talked about the Nintendo Switch game cards, which they said are the same size, um, but they're red and they're faster. And you could still put your Switch 1 game cards in your Switch 2 as part of the backwards compatibility. And they talked about file game transfer, where you can transfer basically your settings, your save files, and your digital games from your Switch 1 to your Switch 2 by just logging in, like through the internet. You don't need to connect anything or physically move anything from one thing to another. Uh, They showed us the second game of this presentation. So they started out with Mario Kart World, then went down all the specs in this for the console. Then they showed us the second game. The second game is called Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, which seems like this Astrobot like, but it's not really Astrobot. You just walk around and it gives you information on the Nintendo Switch 2. You're a mini person that walks around on these Joy-Cons and you press like specific things and it gives you information on the new specs. So they're literally touting it as like, hey, if you want to learn more about all the features we talked about today, make sure to check out Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, which is a new game coming out on launch where you get to learn more about the features of the game. I'm like, okay, so this is probably like preloaded onto the Switch 2, and then you just hop in and go into it, and it kind of gives you like a tour, a fun little tour of your console. Nope. This is not free. This is a paid digital game that you could buy it if you're interested in finding out more about the Switch 2. You got to be kidding me, Nintendo. Oh my God.
Yeah.
We don't have a confirmation on the price of this game, but
Dude, I bet you they get so much backlash that they're just going to make it free.
they care.
They might not care, but I mean,
Yeah.
I also like will not buy this game because why would I want to buy this game?
No, if it was free, I'd give it a try maybe. But my webcam is really off today. Everything is off today. The focus, the lighting, everything. Maybe it's time I go turn off the lights and then get a drink. Yeah, I don't know who's gonna buy this. Bro, no Nintendo is gonna be like $50 Canadian or something, right?
Dude, if it's $50, man, I will. I don't know what I would do. I'm not gonna ruin my Switch 2, but I'm not gonna be happy about it.
Oh, I'm not buying that thing. Whatever. 1 second. What was I thinking? Oh, I lost it.
What?
Can't remember. We're good to start again.
Yeah, I'm good.
So then they showed us. You know what I'm thinking? Maybe I get rid of this freaking webcam and I get the Nintendo camera to do.
Do you think it would actually work outside of the Switch? I'm actually genuinely curious. I'm curious if another USB Type C webcam would work. Number one, on a Switch 2. Number two is if that webcam can be used outside of a Switch 2.
That's a good point.
Like in theory, it's just USB Type C. So like potentially,
It should,
unless there's some sort of software lock.
It should. I don't see why it shouldn't. Yeah. Yeah, and it's just USB C. We'll find out once I buy it. I'll use it for this. I need to get a better webcam anyway, and I want to do game chat with nobody because I have nobody on Switch. Yeah. Anyways, then we got to look at another piece of hardware. The new Pro Controller. Feature complete with a C button. They kept reiterating that. This will also have a C button. This will also have a C button. A C button. A jack for your headset. Which, I'll be honest with you, I'll admit, I didn't realize the OG one didn't have a jack for the headset. Which is bananas. How the heck did you connect to a headset back on the Switch? Did you just not?
No, so back then on a Switch, you had to basically either use a wired headset, which worked great. You would use a Bluetooth one, which sucked real bad because the latency is really bad, or you'd have to get a dongle that would be, I think, 2.4 gigahertz. And then you would use like some sort of 2.4 gigahertz headset for it.
You said wired, but what are you wiring it into if there was no jack in the
Oh, sorry, you would have to plug it directly into the handheld.
Well, that's true.
The Pro Controller did not have any
jack
other than USB
I know
Type-C.
that I've plugged in a wired headset into my Switch.
Yeah.
My Switch before, yeah, when it's handheld, but I never realized. That is crazy. Anyway, those are two things I don't care about. What I really care about is there seems to be back paddles on this controller. They're not exactly back paddles. They're almost like handle grabs, but they call them the GL and the GR buttons, which you can use like your PS5 Pro controller or your Xbox Elite Series 2, where you basically are pressing buttons in the map. You in the back, you remap some of your face buttons to the back of your controller, which I thought
What
was
game?
pretty
What
neat.
game are you gonna use this potentially for? Are you gonna play
get to
COD?
We'll get to it. We'll get to it. Hollow Knight Silk Song. So then the my favorite part of the show, where I mentioned at the top of the show, I get to crown myself as the new Jeff Grubb. I get to crown myself as the new
Nintendo Jesus.
Jason Schreier. This is the Iraqi Balboa Berg, not Bloomberg, baby. I get the Nintendo Switch launch date correct to the day. June 5th, 2025. Come on, man.
Round of applause.
Nostradamus. Look at me. I'm a genius. My ego's through the roof. That's crazy, bro. The crazy how I was able to deduce that. You want to know what I did?
What?
I gotta come clean. I can't lie. I gotta come clean. My initial guess was going to be June. The week after the Summer Games Fest. So June 19. You went May 28. So then I was afraid it would be between May 28 and June 19, but technically closer to May 28. So I said I'd go earlier in June so that if it is later in June where I had predicted, I'd still be closer to it than you.
So you specifically chose it just to spite me.
Just to be closer to it than you. Yeah. June 5th, close, man. It's close. Summer launch, crazy. Like, not even, a month and a half away? Not even.
Yeah. I mean,
well, 2 months, sorry.
It's going to fly by.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So after all that, they started getting pretty heavy into the games. And there are a lot of games to talk about. I think this is the console probably that's going to have the greatest support at launch. And for kind of a funny reason. The reason is because most of the support is games that are already out in the wild, but they just couldn't run on a Switch 1. And now they could run on a Switch 2. So they're just getting mega dumped onto the Switch 2. But we'll go through them all. They gave us a breakdown. They said there's 3 types of games you could play on a Switch. You can play a Switch 2 game, or you could play a backwards compatible Switch 1 game, or you could play Switch 2 editions of Switch 1 games. This is basically the PlayStation equivalent of you can play Spider-Man 2, which is a PS5 game. You can play God of War, the original, which is a PS4 game, but it works on your PS5. And it maybe has some enhancements. Or you can play Spider-Man Miles Morales, which there's a PS5 version of and a PS4 version of, but the PS5 version runs better on your PS5. That's kind of what they told us. They started off with these games that are going to get another version, the Miles Morales PS5 to the PS4 version, or the God of War Ragnarok PS5 to the PS4 version. The first being Mario Party Jamboree. And it is going to have additional content. And this additional content is called Jamboree TV, which has several new game modes, which they emphasized use one of 4 functions: mouse controls, audio recognition, which was the mic stuff we were talking about at the top of the show, where they're able to recognize your voice even if,
the background noise.
So there's some games that specifically use your audio. The camera accessory, the Switch camera for some games where you actually move on the camera to do something. And there's more rumble or something. Like the rumble is stronger on the controller. This is coming out both as a digital version and a physical version. And if you own the Switch 1 version, you can get the upgraded Switch 2 version digitally by purchasing an upgrade pack. This is kind of like, make another Sony comparison. You own Uncharted 4 on your PS4. You pay an extra $15. You get Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection on your PS5, right? The release date for this is July 24th. So about a month and a half after the Switch comes out. So this is not going to be available right away. I'm I'm a Mario Party guy. I'm not a Mario Kart guy. I'm a Mario Party guy. So I don't know. I'm kind of looking forward to this. I will probably buy this upgrade pack and see how it plays and see these new game modes. Maybe not the camera one. I still want to see what that camera accessory really is going to cost. The second two, are you into this?
The the Mario Party?
Yeah.
No, not really. I mean, I don't even own a copy of Mario Party on my Switch.
I literally have all three. Superstars. What was the other one? I can't remember. There's been 3 Mario parties I think on the Switch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
All Stars Jam, and then the
Yeah.
Jamboree one, and then I forget the one.
I think
last one.
Superstars or something. Yeah. So the next 2 games which they showed off was The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Now these Switch 2 versions are effectively enhanced resolution and frame rates, plus HDR support, plus the thing that you alluded to in the top of the show, Nintendo Notes, which is a Switch 2 exclusive for these 2 games, whereby you go on your Nintendo app and it's almost like a guide to the game, and it gives you voice commands as to where you're supposed to go to find specific
I was
items.
actually like confused as to why somebody would want Google Maps inside Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Like actually genuinely confused who is actually going to use this feature. And so a few hours like before this show happened, one of my friends, shout out Nicole, was like, "You know what? I'm so hyped for Switch 2 because one of these features is the Google Maps inside Breath of the Wild and
Is
Tears
it
of the
so she
Kingdom."
could find all the little, what are those
Yeah, the
stupid
Coca
tears?
Rocks.
Yeah, those things that there's like 150 of them in the game and you need it for like completion.
Yeah, she's like so lazy to like pull up like a guide or whatever. So she's just like, yeah, I just want them to read out the directions in like a soothing voice so that I can collect all these Coca Rocks or whatever.
Oh my
I'm like, oh my
god.
god, this is the one. You are the demographic that this is for.
Isn't that what they showed it off as?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is
Oh my
going
god.
on?
Maybe I finally play these games. Maybe.
Maybe I finally play these games on like a TV because I'm like, I was so sick of playing Tears of the Kingdom, like hunched over, like, you know,
No,
and like breaking my neck.
I
Yeah,
cannot
because
wait
it
to play
looks
this
like
game.
complete garbage on a TV.
Yeah. I'm excited. I wonder what it's gonna look like. There's also like achievements or something for these 2 games. They're adding achievement
Really?
support. Yeah, it was not in the show. I read it after somewhere.
Yeah, the other feature that they added is that you could share your blueprints for the stuff that you make, so that your friend can easily like just rebuild the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah. That, I mean, especially with all the building that you could do, you could just like send it over to their app and they could put it in the game.
Dude, some people make some wild ass stuff on Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, I did. That kind of turned me off from Tears of the Kingdom. I was like, I don't want to play this.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really like building stuff, but like some of the stuff, like just watching some of the stuff that people would make, I'm like, dude, you guys have to spend like
Dude,
hours doing this.
I'm
Like
30. My
instances.
creativity's gone.
Yeah.
I don't have any creativity left. It doesn't exist.
Okay, let me allude to the example of the quality of stuff I make on Tears of the Kingdom. You know, like the kids that draw the drawings of cars and stuff.
Yeah.
That is my extent of the creativity. When I'm making a
Just stick
car, it's
figures.
literally a platform and 4 of
Wheels.
those wheels,
And
and
it.
that's my car.
Yeah. Fair enough. I mean, I, I recently, and I'll talk about it more on our next episode, on our next regular episode, just because I don't want to run out of time here. But I recently started up Atomfall, which came out a couple of weeks ago, and I was surprised by how like much of a like crafting, survival, stealth, like you really got to think about it, and there's like investigations and clues and stuff. And I'm like, dude, I don't have the level of creativity for the brain capacity for this game right now to figure out how I'm gonna get around these guards right now. Leave me alone. I'm not crafting tools to fight these people. Leave me alone.
Yeah, you're just gonna bash your head right into
Yeah,
them
yeah.
and fight them all.
Yeah. The next game was Kirby and the Forgotten Land, which is getting a star-crossed world expansion, which features improved graphics and frame rates. Uh, and the expansion is exclusive to Nintendo Switch 2, so you cannot play this expansion on your Switch 1 version. Have you played Kirby and the Forgotten Land? I've heard a lot of good
Yeah,
things about it, but
yeah. This is the one where
Kirby eats cars
yeah, can
in a
eat the car and stuff like
post-apocalyptic
that.
world.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. That one I actually played that one, and yeah, I liked it. It actually looks pretty good if you play it on your TV as well. It's because it's like a first party Nintendo and like it's not very realistic, more
yeah,
of a
I've heard good things
cartoon.
about it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. It plays great. Like I'm excited for the DLC drop.
yeah. Then we got, which we both were discussing last episode, the two games that were called Nintendo Switch 1 games, but we were like, there's got to be a Switch 2 version. Metroid Prime 4 and Pokemon ZA. Metroid Prime 4 is going to have mouse support, which you alluded to at the top of the show, where you can play the game in mouse controls as if it's a PC first person shooter. For this game specifically, I noted they did not use the words improved graphics and frame rates. They gave something more feasible, more not feasible. What's the word I'm trying to find? They gave something more specific. They said 4K 60 frames per second or 180p 120 frames per second. They said there's going to be there's two fidelity settings for this game,
Yeah, like a
which sounds really
performance and
good.
a
Yeah.
quality one.
While the performance is 180p at 120 FPS, and the
Hmm.
quality they're claiming is 4K at 60 FPS, which is a crazy claim. So we'll see how well that actually runs. And for Pokemon ZA, all they said was enhanced resolution and frame rates.
Yeah,
So that was
that's not a lot of detail.
no. Yeah. The ones I'm really interested in, Mario Party Jamboree, whenever that comes out, I'll give it a try. But I don't know, maybe it's time I actually try Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom for longer than the tutorial area. Um, and Metroid Prime 4, of course.
Yeah, I'm high on Metroid Prime 4. Z to A, I'm actually like very hesitant on. I have a
No,
feeling that
I don't care about ZA.
yeah, I think Game Freak might really screw this up. If your description of it is enhanced resolution and frame rates, I'm like, that's probably just because your hardware is better. You probably did the bare minimum to
Get it to work.
yeah, to get it to work.
Then we got to look at this Dragon Drive game, which is a mouse exclusive gameplay game where you use dual mouse controls. It is kind of like the tech show off for these dual mouse controls. I say it's like every time Switch has like a game that really wants to show off the new feature it has, and then the new feature never gets used again. It's like all the haptic feedback on the PS5. There's like Astro's Playroom, then there's Astrobot, and there's a few games that use it, and that's really it. But this game is basically a wheelchair basketball game, and you use they had it a visual of the game and the visual of the controllers at the same time. So somebody had two mice, and they were moving them around the same way you would be moving like a wheelchair when you're playing like wheelchair basketball. Like you're going this way to turn in this direction, or this to turn in this direction, etc. And they use the combination of things to show how you would like score your hoop and whatnot. So I don't know. We'll see. It is summer 2025. It is not a launch game, interesting enough. So I'm curious to see how that will actually play out, if it'll be any fun.
Yeah, I think this game looked pretty horrible.
Yeah. I don't think it, yeah, visually, I don't think it looks very good. And
Yeah,
I think it's going to be a really gimmicky game just to try it out. But if
yeah,
it's for $20 or $30, then whatever.
dude. I
But
have
if
a feeling
it's
this is gonna be a full
$80,
price game just because of like the full support. I have a feeling it's gonna be a full price game, and it literally looks like I don't know how would I describe it. Like it looks like basically like a game off Wii Sports
Yeah, it looks
or
like it
like
could be a
Switch
Wii
Sports.
Sports game, not its own standalone game. It looks like it could be a part of like a bigger
Yeah.
game that has different versions. Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. They then proceeded to dump a bunch of third-party games on us. And these are third-party games that are coming to the Switch 2 specifically. And like I said earlier, this console seems like it's going to have the most support than any other video game console of all time. And that's because there are a bunch of games that came out on the PS4 and the Xbox One and then the PS5 and the Xbox Series X console generations and never came to a Nintendo console because the Switch couldn't handle them. And now it seems like they can. So now it seems like they're coming to the Switch 2. And all at once are all really close to launch. They started off with Elden Ring Tarnished Edition, which I think maybe is a combination of both the DLC, Shadow of the Erdtree, and the base game. They didn't really explain that. Slated for 2025, no launch date. Hades 2, which Hades 1 also did come to Switch. It was actually a Switch and PC exclusive when it came out. But that one is coming out when it comes out. They didn't give us a date because we don't know when Hades 2 comes out. Street Fighter 6 Years 1 and 2 Fighters Edition, which has 26 characters. I'm not sure if that's less or more than the Street Fighter game on PS5. It has modes that are unique to the Nintendo Switch 2 edition. And 3 amiibos are coming out with this game. Yeah, we were talking about this last time, how they were still going to have amiibo support for the Switch 2. I do not have a date written on this yet, but I think it might be a launch. Damon times Machina Titanic Scion, which I don't know what this is. I've never seen it before, but it is launching on September 5th, 2025 on Switch 2. This is that mech game.
Yeah, that's that mech game
Yeah,
that I thought was like kind of like tropey.
Yeah, I didn't mind it visually. I thought it was okay. I thought it was kind of looked like a warmer looking Armored Core without all the gray colors. Split Fiction at launch. Joseph Ferris was out to advertise this. It looks like, I think It Takes Two was on Switch, but it looks like Split Fiction didn't make it to Switch. So
yeah, it didn't.
That's why he's saying, hey, if you played It Takes Two, this is coming. So get ready, launch day. Madden NFL and EA Sports FC are announced to be coming for Switch 2. No dates, so they'll probably come whenever both those come out. And this is the first time Madden is on a Nintendo console in 13 years. There's been FIFA on Nintendo consoles, but usually it's a garbage version of the PS5, Xbox Series X version of FIFA. So crazy announcement there too for the sports sim people. Hogwarts Legacy at launch with mouse controls, apparently. Mouse control integration. I don't know how. I think it's when you're flying your hippo.
Yeah.
What is it called? I got to call my wife. She's hippogriff. Yeah. And if I recall correctly, the Switch 1 version of this game was canceled, was it not? Weren't they developing this for Switch 1 when it came out in 2023 and they kept delaying the Switch 1 version and then they eventually scrapped it? Yeah, they eventually scrapped that Switch 1 version altogether.
Did it actually make it? Sorry, I'm just pulling it up. No, there is actually a Switch version.
Why did I think it got canceled? Maybe it was the old consoles, the PS4 and the Series X versions that got canceled, or PS4 and Xbox One versions that got canceled.
Yeah, no, they do have they have support on the Switch. It probably plays pretty bad.
Oh yeah, maybe it's one of those games that you're really just playing on an online server. You're not actually. There's a few of those games on Switch where you're not actually playing the game natively on Switch. You're owning it, but you're playing on some online system. Then we got Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, which is coming summer. It says summer 2025, even though we have a launch date for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4. That's July 11. So I'm wondering if this is just going to stagger a little bit behind the Xbox Series X and
it might be.
PS5 releases. They also teased a Bikini Bottom from SpongeBob level at the
Yeah, that
very
was
end of
pretty
that.
cool.
Yeah, yeah, I thought that was nice. Hitman World of Assassination, which is kind of the new rebranded version of Hitman, where all the levels from Hitman 1, 2, and 3 were kind of brought together under one umbrella. Um, it is going to come out at launch. And surprise, surprise, IO Interactive decided to tease their upcoming rumored game, which I do not think we've actually seen anything for. James Bond 007 being
Yeah, it's
worked
like
on.
007 project or something, right?
Yeah, it is the same. It's from the same people as Hitman, which was rumored that they were working on this James Bond game, but we haven't seen anything from it.
It only makes sense that they're the ones to make it, to be
Yeah,
honest.
considering Hitman, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we got Bravely Default Flying Fairy HD remaster at launch. I don't know anything about this franchise.
But yeah,
It's from
it's like a
Square.
Final Fantasy. It's like
Yeah,
a RPG. It
yeah,
it is very well reviewed. It is a very popular game.
yeah. I mean, they made a big deal out of it since they put it all here. So I imagine. And then Yakuza Zero Director's Cut at launch as well. So exciting stuff. Then they pivoted again and said, "Hey, we got a game from a third-party developer specifically for the Switch 2 that we're working on together." And the Koei Tecmo screen showed up, and I'm like, okay, Hyrule Warriors, here it is. And sure enough, there is a new Hyrule Warriors game, which is Zelda focused. I don't think I saw Link in the whole trailer.
No, no, it was
And
all the other companions.
yes,
Yeah.
and it is launching sometime winter 2025. They said this is a prequel to the Tears of the Kingdom story, which I don't know enough about the Tears of the Kingdom Breath of the Wild stories to be able to know where this is in the timeline. And it is called Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. Do you remember Hyrule Warriors on the original Switch that came out in 2021?
I never played it, but I can imagine it
It
not running
it
very well
it
at
ran
all.
at like 10 frames per second. So I think this is good news for anybody who's into that franchise and wants to play this, because that game was just that game I would say was like one of the top 5 games that were like, these are Switch exclusives, but they're not worth playing because they run like garbage on the Switch. So they're just not worth playing. I think like between like, I don't know. Hyrule Warriors was for sure one of them, but Bayonetta 2 didn't run very good. Bayonetta 3 didn't run very good on the Switch
Mhm.
2. Actually, I hope Bayonetta gets enhanced. I can hop into that for the Switch 2. That would be a game I'd play on the Switch 2, of course. Yeah. Hyrule Warriors. Are you gonna hop into this, considering you are the Dynasty Warriors champion?
I don't know. I'm undecided. It depends on if I can get it for a decent price. I really don't want to play some of these MSRPs for these games.
We'll
So
get to that. We'll get to that. Hold your thoughts on that one. Yeah. They then pivoted to the rumored GameCube coming to Nintendo Switch Online expansion. So they are adding GameCube games to the Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack, because you have like the online, and then that only gives you the NES and the SNES games. And then you have the expansion pack that gives you like the Sega Genesis games, the N64 games, the Game Boy
GBA,
games, I think.
yeah.
And then it gives you like the DLC for Animal Crossing and the extra courses for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So that's part of that, but it's also only exclusives to Switch 2. So if you have a Switch 1, you cannot play um, these GameCube games on your Nintendo Online Plus expansion pass. They showed off a new GameCube controller, which is wireless. It has a C button. It will be available at launch, but it is only exclusive to Nintendo Switch Online members. So you can't just anybody could get it, right?
Yeah, I think they did that with some of the other
The
controllers that they
N64, I
were.
believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they always seem to be releasing these controllers every time they add another set of games to the expansion passes. They had the SNES, had the NES, they had the SNES, the N64, and now the GameCube, which I love the GameCube controller. Do you know if these things sell out? Like, can you just buy it from the Nintendo like online store whenever, as long as you prove you have your online membership?
Yeah,
So can I still go and buy an NES one or SNES
you can.
one? Yeah.
Yeah, you can. They're pretty expensive though. They're like 60
Ooh.
some bucks.
Yeah. Then they showed a slate of some of the first games that are coming. The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, which I know is a beloved game. Soul Calibur 2 and F-Zero GX, all three will be available on launch day of the Switch 2. And you could customize your controller settings to make them make more sense for you if you're playing on a regular controller rather than a GameCube one. And then they kind of teased some of the games that are going to be coming to the service: Super Mario Sunshine, Fire Emblem Path of Radius, Pokemon XD Gate of Darkness.
Gale of Darkness.
Sorry, bad.
That's one of the ones I'm high for. So
Yeah,
I got to correct you.
that's fine. I don't care about Pokemon. Super Mario Strikers. That is one I am high on. So I'm gonna try that one. Chibi Robo, which I don't know what that is. Luigi's Mansion, the first, which I believe was recently remastered for the OG Switch, or
Yep,
is that Luigi's Mansion 2?
for
Yeah.
Switch.
Yeah.
I think no, it was remastered.
Was it Luigi's Mansion 2 or 1?
I think it was 3.
3 was the new game for Switch.
Oh, was it 3?
3 is the new game, but I think one of them got remastered, 1 or 2.
Okay.
And Pokemon Coliseum is the last one that's used. And this was like just they were throwing them on the screen pretty fast.
Yeah. Dude, the GameCube generation is like a generation I missed out on. So like all these games I'm like pretty high for. Like,
Agreed.
dude, I still want to play more Super Mario Sunshine.
Yeah, I mean, I have a copy of Super Mario Sunshine for the Switch if you want. I have like that 3 game
The
pass
3 in
that
a
they
pack. No, I'm gonna wait for this.
You're gonna play the OG.
Yeah, and Pokemon Coliseum and Gale of Darkness. Yeah, those were the games I really wanted back in the day. Never got to play.
Yeah, I obviously didn't care enough that I spelled it wrong. Then we got a bunch more third-party games. Same thing as they were doing before. They gave us some more. Deltarune chapters 1 to 4, which will be available on launch day. This is the Undertale's parallel story. I don't actually know much about this. Is this game already out, or is this a new game?
I have no idea.
So I tried to play Undertale back in the day, and yeah, I don't know.
Deltarune came out 2018, so yeah, it's been out.
Oh no, so it's episodic. It's an episodic role-playing video game, and it's a follow-up to 2015 video game Undertale. So it's like a sequel to Undertale, but it's episodic. Episode 1 or Chapter 1 came out October 31st, 2018. Chapter 2 came out September 17, 2021. And Chapter 3 and 4 are coming out as part of this package on the Switch launch day. So this has been going on for freaking almost a decade.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's commitment.
Yeah, well. Yeah, so yeah, it'll be the 1 and 4 chapters which have already been out, but bundled with the 3 and 4 chapters on launch day. Borderlands 4 will be launching on Nintendo Switch as well. Borderlands 4 comes out September 4th or something like that, I think, this year.
Yeah. More info later.
Yeah. Civ 7, and this was like the Take-Two segment where they kept telling us more things from Take-Two. Civ 7, which actually already has a Switch 1 version. I wasn't aware of this. We'll get a Switch 2 edition that also will offer you an upgrade path, and the Switch 2 edition will have mouse support and will be available at launch. WWE and NBA 2K are both confirmed to be coming to the Nintendo Switch. Same way EA kind of confirmed FIFA and Madden would be coming to the Switch. Then this game came up called Survival Kids, which seems like a smaller game, and it'll be available on launch date. But I want to bring this up because this is where the live stream of the Switch 2 Direct froze when this game came out, and I was watching it on YouTube, and you could see the chat was like pin drop silent through the whole Direct. Up until this happened, and everybody, when the chat's like freaking blowing up, everybody's going crazy. It was crazy. I've never seen a chat like that quiet ever before, but everyone was like pin drop silent. No one was saying anything. The stream cuts out and everybody freaks out. So where was I? Yeah,
Enter the Gungeon.
Survival
Too.
Kids. Yeah. So Enter the Gungeon 2, a first look at the sequel to Enter the Gungeon, which is the critically acclaimed like roguelike, almost like a Hotline Miami shooter. But this is going to be 3D. It's going to have 3D art style. Then we got to look at Star Seeker Astroneer Expeditions coming out 2026. I don't know much about the Astroneer franchise. Then we got something which, honestly, man, was not on my bingo card. I would not have ever bet on this thing coming to Switch 2. If you told me this game's coming to Switch 2, I tell you, all right, brother. I know it's more powerful, but don't push it. This is wild. Cyberpunk 2077. The game that could not run on a PS4 and an Xbox One. The game that barely ran on a PS5 at launch. The game that you needed a 3090 to run at launch is coming to Nintendo Switch 2. This is actually kind of high on my radar for Switch launches. I really want to buy this just to see what it looks like.
Yeah. People
Yeah.
were saying that it probably will play better than on a Steam Deck just because it's like
Optimized for the Switch.
yeah, optimized for the Switch 2.
It looks, you could visually tell it does not look as high fidelity as other like things I've seen of Cyberpunk for sure. But I thought it was cool. And then Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade with no announcement date for launch. But I mean, Square Enix has already been hinting to this. They said their whole exclusivity with PlayStation deals have not been panning out. Their games have not been selling enough on just PlayStation. And they were going to begin broadening their horizons after some exclusivity windows expired, which it sounds like if this is coming to Switch, get ready for Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate on Xbox, I think sometime soon.
But you can already play it on an Xbox. My PC is an Xbox.
This is an Xbox. This is an Xbox. Then we got a quick cut of montage of games. I'll go through quickly. Kunitsugami Path of Goddess will be available at launch. Hollow Knight Silk Song. A quick montage of it, which I wouldn't think of much, but they actually committed to a 2025 date. It said 2025. If I'm not mistaken, this is the first time we got some news about Hollow Knight Silk Song actually confirming a release window, since it was originally supposed to come out sometime between June 2021 and June 2022, as per the Xbox showcase that it last showed up in back way when, if you recall. Or I think it was between 2022 2023. I can't remember. It's been 2-3 years now when that game had a date or a year associated to it. So we'll see. Internet's obviously going to implode. Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar, Goodnight Universe, 2 Point Museum. Grand Bazaar has an August 27 release date, and the other two are 2025. Wild Hearts S, which I don't know, is this a Switch version of Wild Hearts? Wild Hearts is that Monster Hunter like game from I can't remember who developed it. Was it I can't remember. Anyway, it was this Monster Hunter like game that looked really good, but I don't think it was very successful. So maybe they're making a Nintendo Switch version of it, Switch 2 version of it, July 25. Witchbrook, which I'm really looking forward to. That is that pixel art kind of Stardew Valley game, holiday 2025. Puyo Puyo Tetris 2S will be available at launch. Rune Factory Guardians at Vazuma will be available at launch. Marvel Comic Invasion, which I'm looking forward to. That's the Marvel 2D pixel art beat 'em up from .mu. That's holiday 2025. Star Wars Outlaws 2025. Nobunaga's Ambition. Awakening Complete Edition. This looks like it's a Dynasty Warriors thing. Is it? Is it?
I think it is probably Technical.
Yeah, Nobunaga's Ambition.
Tecmo-Koei.
Yeah, it will be available at launch. Fast Fusion available at launch. Shadow Labyrinth, July 18. This is that Pac-Man horror Metroidvania. Raidu Remastered will be available June 19. No Sleep for Konami. Date from AI, the Somonium Files, July 25. Jeez. Reanimal, which is that horror 2D or two-person co-op game in like this cartoonish, not cartoonish, but kind of like Playmation art styles. It's from the developers of Little Nightmares 1 and 2. That's coming 2025. Fortnite, available at launch. Arcade Archives Ridge Racer, which some people were excited for on the internet, available at launch. Professor Layton, The New World of Steam, of 2025. Tamagotchi Piazza or Plaza, June 27, and then Human Fall Flat with no date associated with it. I did notice in this quick montage there were 3 or 4 games that also had in small print Nintendo Switch 2 editions. They were the Story of Seasons game, the Rune Factory game, and the Shadow Labyrinth game. Yeah. And then the highlight of the show for me, the Dusk Bloods from From Software, coming 2026. This is a new game, new IP from Software. I love the title, The Dusk Bloods. It is surprisingly a Switch 2 exclusive, which is
Console
insane.
wars are back, baby.
Console wars are back, baby. Coming 2025, directed by the man himself, Hayao Miyazaki. Hidetaka Miyazaki. It is looks like it's a little bit Elden Ring, a little bit Bloodborne inspired. But I've been reading some kind of articles after the fact. It is a PvPvE 8-person game. And they kind of alluded to that if you watch the trailer. They showed 8 individual unique kind of characters. And it showed them all jumping into this world. Yeah, exciting stuff. There was some dude in like an aqua suit that was flying. I don't know. More info will be added to the Nintendo website from the man himself, Miyazaki, on April 4th. Yeah, dude, the Dusk Bloods. I mean, I love the title. I prefer if it was on all consoles, so I could play it on my PS5. But yeah, you got me, Nintendo. Ooh, I'm gonna buy Switch 2 for this at least. So
this is the number one thing you're buying it for.
Yes. And this is what I was texting my friend Hamza about. I'm like, "Yo, dude, wake up. He's sick. He's like in bed." I got my wife to text his wife to see what happened to him. She's like, "He's sick." I'm like, "Bro, wake up, bro. You're from Software." Yeah, good way. And then to end the show, Kirby Air Riders, being directed by none other than Masahiro Sakurai, coming 2025.
Yeah,
we
finally know what he's been working on.
Yes, we do. I don't know anything about Kirby Air Rider franchise. Apparently, they said it was originally released for the GameCube, and we didn't see much. But I was like, we already had Mario Kart at the start of the show. Now we have some other kind of racing game, it appears.
Yeah, my friend Nicole is also super hyped for this. She said it gave her nausea back then. I don't know if it's going to be any better for her now that she's much older.
I don't think so. She's played in VR.
Yeah. Dude, the ultimate headache and puke machine.
Yeah. And then they topped it off with Donkey Kong Bonanza, which is an upcoming 3D Donkey Kong where Donkey Kong seems to be some type of miner.
Yeah. Did you notice that they use like a more like old school design for Donkey Kong too?
Oh, I didn't like it. I absolutely hated it. I was gonna leave that to then. I freaking hated it. It looked horrendous. It looked terrible. And then there's like environmental damage or whatever. This is not coming out launch. It's coming a little bit late. I don't care for this. I gotta wait for reviews for this. I didn't like the art style. It looked kind of stupid. And I'll be honest with you, I was hoping this was going to be Mario Galaxy 3.
Or Odyssey it basically 2? Is Donkey Kong Odyssey.
We did not get a 3D Mario.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
I mean, hear me out. I thought this direct was really good. I thought a lot of good third-party support is coming. If you were a Switch-only person and you were missing out on a lot of games, well, guess what? You get to play them. That's good for you. And like that's awesome. It's good to see that this console can now kind of compete with the other ones and have big launches. I've already played Elden Ring, Hades 2 maybe I'll play on the Switch, but in Street Fighter, Split Fiction I'm playing right now on my PS5. Hogwarts Legacy I have on PS5. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Cool, it's coming to Switch. Guess what? I have an Xbox. It's coming to Game Pass, right? Way easier. Hitman World of Assassination I have on PS5. Yakuza 0 I have on PS5. So like, yeah, I understand. I'm very happy that I can now, moving forward on newer releases, I can at least pick where I want to play my games, right? Like if I know I want to play a specific game on handheld or want to play it on Switch, then I could buy it for the Switch. But I'm not going to rebuy a lot of these games that I already own on a PS5 or on a Series X or that is on Game Pass. I'll be quite frank. So like, yeah, cool. Final Fantasy VII Remake's coming. I'm happy everybody gets to try that. But I don't care, right? It doesn't make any difference for me. The Dusk Bloods is my highlight, but guess what? It's not coming out anytime soon. And I'm not going to buy your stupid tutorial game, right? So I got Metroid Prime 4. I got the upgrade for Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. I got this little expansion for Mario Party Jamboree. I got Mario Kart. I just feel like I needed that one more thing. And I understand Donkey Kong, whatever it's called, Bonanza, is that one more thing. And the Kirby Air Riders later on in the year. But it's not the one thing I wanted, right? Like I want the 3D Mario more than I even want the Mario Kart.
Yeah, that is
Overall, your
it's-
thoughts about the Direct? Anything else?
I enjoyed it.
It was fun.
It was really fun. This is probably the most fun Nintendo Direct we've had for a very long time.
There didn't seem to be any filler.
No. Everything was very, very like concise and like kept everybody like watching.
To the point I had to watch it again, and when I watched it the second time, I'm like, holy smokes, like I missed all this the first time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you missed Hollow Knight. I had to point it out for you, and you were like,
didn't
"What?"
Even see it? Yeah. So
no, it was definitely a high.
What's your highlight? What is your big highlight?
I think I'm most excited about just hardware, and I was kind of thinking that it wouldn't be as like strong to handle like some of these brand new titles, but I was excited to see like, Final Fantasy VII is coming. Civ 7 runs on this thing. I'm just excited for the future. Like
Of this
maybe
console.
next year. Yeah, of this console, because we're going to be able to see, the Switch games, which are always good and they're all like for the most part optimized well.
Yes.
Minus a few handfuls. And then you'll also get to see a lot more of these third-party ones, like the Dusk Bloods being exclusive to Switch 2 as well. Like, are we finally going to get a third-party exclusive game to the Switch?
Yeah.
Like, and that's
from
exciting.
None other than From Software. Yeah, I agree with you. I think the highlight was so I've had a handheld itch. I really wanted to buy a handheld console recently. And the Switch one doesn't cut it for me anymore. Like I don't want to be able to play something at, higher resolution that's third party or whatever. So I've been waiting for this because I said this is going to make or break. Like this console's either going to get pre-ordered or I'm going to go buy a Steam Deck or something like that same week. So I like what I'm seeing. HDR, frame rates look good. I mean, all of this is yet to be seen until Digital Foundry makes several videos. But, larger screen size, it seems like it's just upgrades all around. And yes, the third-party slate of games, although I will not play those games because I've already played them or owned them on another console, and I'm not going to buy them again. It's just seeing that they're coming to the console is exciting for me because now I know, okay, there's something else that's going to come down in the line in the future that if I choose to play on the Switch 2 because I want to play it handheld, you know what I mean? Like I don't have to worry about Hades 2, me playing it on PlayStation 5 because it doesn't run good on Switch, right? Or something like that. Or the frame rate is laggy and I'd rather just,
Like honestly, I think if I were one game that's a perfect example of this where I would want it handheld is that Marvel's one.
Yeah.
Right? It just feels like good to play on a handheld because it reminds me of like the Game Boy days, right?
Yeah.
The Game Boy Advance days.
Agreed. So just yeah, like going back, just like I mean, the mouse control stuff and all the other, game share and camera, blah blah blah. That's cool, and Mario Kart World, I'll probably buy it. I'm not the biggest Mario Kart guy. It'll be more for my wife kind of thing, and yeah, so that's all cool. But the fact that I know this thing's powerful enough that I can get some juice out of it is going to be exciting, even if none of these titles right away appeal to me. Aside from Cyberpunk, I just have this curiosity to see what Cyberpunk looks like on a Switch 2. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but as far as the games they've showed, I wish there was a 3D Mario because, yeah, I don't know much about this new game coming from Sakurai. This Donkey Kong game didn't do it for me. Mario Kart is Mario Kart. I was really hoping we'd have that 3D Mario, and for sure that tutorial game
Yeah, that
or the
tutorial
or the
game is like
basketball,
all the
yeah,
way at the bottom.
or the wheelchair basketball game. Those aren't things
Yeah.
that really
Yeah,
appeal to me
wheelchair
right now.
simulator.
So it does seem like my prime game that I am going to play on this at launch is Metroid Prime 4.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what it is. And
But
I'll
it's
wait for
not a
that.
launch title.
Is it not?
No, it just says 2025, right?
That's true. So yeah, it might not be, but I don't see why it wouldn't. But then why don't you're right. I don't see why they haven't told us that it's a launch title. So you could be correct.
Yeah, it just says 2025.
So maybe it'll be like I'll get the Breath of the Wild. We'll see how much
Yeah, get the itch
the
over.
yeah, try both of those or try one. I don't know. Do I want to just hop into Tears of the Kingdom, skip Breath of the Wild? Do I want to play both of them? They're
Honestly,
pretty long
they're
games.
basically the same game.
Yeah,
You could just choose one.
and
I
play it.
I think honestly, I haven't beaten both, but I've gone further in Tears of the Kingdom.
Mm.
So I'd probably recommend that one.
Well, we'll find out on June 5th. But after all of that was done, great showcase. We had some questions. There are some things missing. When do we get to pre-order this thing? How much is it going to cost? Nothing. Of course, they left all the daggers in our hearts till after the show, starting with the price. They did not show the price during the direct. They were cowards. They showed it later. 450 US dollars. So that is more than what I thought with the 400 USD. I think what did you predict again?
$399, I think, was what.
Yeah.
So
$450
$50 more.
$50 more. And there's going to be two versions. There's going to be the one bundled with Mario Kart World for 500 USD. $50 more doesn't sound crazy, nor does 500 USD. But for us Canadians, that starts climbing up pretty fast. The base Switch 2 is going to be $630 Canadian. And the one bundled with Mario Kart World is going to be 600 or 699, so $700 Canadian. Hey, I remind you, $630 Canadian is more than what the Series X cost in Canadian dollars at launch. And it is the same price as what the PS5 cost at launch in Canada. The disc version of the PS5 was 630. It's gone up since, but that's what it was at launch. And there is, I see. Thank you, Derwin, for moving that up the show notes. There is a region locked console,
Exclusive to Japan.
which is actually less than this. I can't remember the exact price.
So they did the conversion. It's like 330 USD. And the only reason why Japan has a region locked console is so that they can keep their market share there.
Yeah, they do not want to be selling this at this rate all across the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
300. So it's almost like as if they are admitting that this thing is potentially overpriced and that they are going to lose sales in Japan and they do not want to lose their Japanese audience. So they're going to sell them a cheaper console. But then they also don't want people buying consoles in Japan and taking them home for cheaper, you know? So they region lock it so you can't use it elsewhere. It's dirty. It's like this whole thing did not taste good being cowards and not showing the price at the during the direct, and then finding out that there's this region lock console. It's pretty. I don't know. It's
Yeah, it
it's
hurts.
like come on, man. Like you don't region lock console. Okay, but no, not okay. But like the idea that you don't even want me to go to Japan to get it for cheaper.
Yeah. Well, you can buy it, but like unless you can read Japanese and have access to the Japanese games regularly,
Yeah, of course.
then like there's no point.
It's ridiculous. Pre-orders go live April 9 in Canada, 10 a.m. Mountain Time. So I think GameStop is line up. You could line up at opening time or 10 a. Sorry, not 10 p.m. 10 a.m. on April 9. Same with Best Buy, and then the Nintendo Switch store or whatever they call it also has pre-orders available that you could sign up for notification. But those ones have some pretty nasty requirements to be able to pre-order. I do not have it here in front of me, but it was something
You have to
ridiculous, like
have Nintendo Switch online for more than 12 months.
and a slate of other things. You need to have at least 50 hours in Nintendo Switch Online.
Was it? I thought it was
Yeah,
just I definitely don't qualify then. I don't ever play online.
yeah.
I
So
haven't touched my
it's
Switch
pretty
for
it's
a
pretty
long
crazy.
time.
Like it's like we're they're trying to fight scalpers, but this seems a little bit aggressive.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and if the rumors are true and that this is readily available, like you can just pre-order from another website.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, the whole price thing leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Big
But we're
time.
not done with the
Oh,
pricing.
we are not, sir. So they started putting out MSRP for some of these first party games that they announced, like Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong, what was it?
Bonanza.
Bonanza. And much to my shock, I did not have this on the bingo card. Mario Kart World is 80 US dollars, which would make it the most expensive mainline AAA game ever. I mean, maybe actually going back, maybe I'll take that back. I think like games back in like the NES, SNES on cartridges and stuff back in the day, those were pretty expensive,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Those were like
Corrected
$80.
for inflation,
Correct. Yeah,
obviously.
yeah. Never mind. Yeah. So I'll take that back. I'm saying games have been 60 USD for the longest time, and they climbed up to 70 USD at MSRP price just recently, just in this PS5 console generation. And we still have games coming out for less than that, for 60. Like First Berserker Kazan just came out for 60. Black Myth was 60 USD on launch, right? It didn't go up to that 70. So we're still been playing with that 70 price. Like some games come out for 70. The PS5 version for a game comes out for 70 USD, but the PS4 version comes out for 60 USD. These guys, and amidst rumors of GTA 6 potentially being priced at 100 USD at launch because Take Two just wants to push the limit. Nintendo was like, hold my beer, I'll beat you to it, 80 USD and 70 USD for Donkey Kong, which is not the first 70 USD game they had because Tears of the Kingdom was 70 USD. But Donkey Kong was, but yeah, Party, or not Mario Kart World is 80. And may I add that the Switch 2 version of Breath of the Wild is 70 USD, and the Switch 2 version of Tears of the Kingdom is 80 USD. We're talking about Breath of the Wild, Wii U Breath of the Wild. I mean, this is like, and knowing Switch games never go on sale, this is also another like sucker punch right after having a really good direct. Which makes me think, because I told my wife we should buy the bundle for Mario Kart World
Yeah,
because
no,
it'll
you should definitely be buying the bundle for that.
Yeah. My initial idea was we buy the bundle because we'll save $10. But if this is to go by anything, how much is this going to cost Canadian? We do not have the Canadian pricing yet, right?
Yeah, I think they're too coward
Too
to
cowardly to give us the Canadian pricing?
that, or I'm thinking they actually might give us a bit of a break.
So technically, we already have a bit of the break in Canada because if things are priced at 70 USD in the States, right? They should be priced at 100 USD in Canada. because we're literally 70 cents to the Canadian dollar, I think, right?
I mean, the rates were 1.43 today.
So even worse. But yeah, so we're getting a break. So 70 USD and we're only getting charged 90 Canadian. Obviously, we're not really getting a break because it's not like we're making more money or anything, right? We're arguably making less money.
Mm-hmm.
And then our games cost more, so we're really not getting a break. But if an American were to cross the border and go to Canada and pick up a game from Canada, he's technically getting a break.
Yeah.
For 90 Canadian dollars is less than his 70 USD. So are we going to get a break or is this going to be $110?
I mean, we'll find out once they decide to release this Canadian pricing.
I mean, this is
This is
ridiculous.
gonna hurt a lot if these games are coming out at like $120.
Well,
How
for
much?
how
How
long? And then
much?
people stop
How much is
buying
that?
them.
Yeah, it's gonna be $113.99. So like they're probably gonna price it to like 115, 110. That's insane.
Well, listen, if they cannot make any money without pricing it this high, then guess what, brother? AAA gaming is dead because indie games are way cheaper than this, and I could count 10 indie games every year that are better than 75% of AAA releases, and they go for like 10 to 40 bucks at launch, Canadian. And in addition to that, your AAA games go on sale right away. Not Nintendo, I get it, but for every other developer, if you think about like hopping on this bandwagon and you're going to sell me Assassin's Creed Shadows for 80 USD and you're going to put it on sale, well, guess what? Nobody's going to buy our game at MSRP. We already will know what the gig is. The gig is up. We're not going to buy it. Then you're going to complain that you're not selling anything. You're going to lay off everyone because your game is overpriced. And if you cannot make any money without pricing it this high, then the business is gonna collapse from under it. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then to add more insult to injury, who in Canada is gonna buy? You could buy this for your kid for 110 Canadian dollars. Let's just be a little bit dramatic. Or let's say $100 Canadian, right? If they're gonna give us a break, it's gonna be $100 Canadian because they're already charging us $90 for the $70 USD games, $80 USD, $100 Canadian. You're gonna buy your kid Mario Kart World for 100 Canadian dollars, or you're just gonna let him play Fortnite for free?
Yeah, and then just buy a skin for him every so often.
I mean, and then apparently the physical games are more expensive than the digital ones.
Yeah, I think in the EU they have pricing for the digital and the physical, and there's like a $10 euro difference or $8 euro difference or something like that.
So it's like, oh, we're penalizing you for buying physical, and we no longer want to front the cost of shipping and distributing a physical game and manufacturing a physical game. So if you really want a physical buddy, you're gonna have to pay premium to own a game, or you could buy the digital game that we could shut off anytime we want.
We'll get to that if you even own that physical game.
Of course, yeah, yeah. Well, let's cut to the chase. Actually, why not? Lines up right away.
Yeah, you want to go straight to the game keys?
Game keys. Yep.
Yeah, so there's going to be game cards which will have the game files on them, but then separately for certain games there's going to be game keys. So they'll still have a cartridge, but there's going to be nothing but, I guess, a set of instructions or a special code for when you plug into your Switch 2, you'll automatically download it, or you'll be prompted to download the whole game and all of its files to your console, but you still have to keep this game key inside your console in order to continue playing your game. If you take it
So
out, you won't be able to play it.
so effectively what we have for Series X and PS5
Mm-hmm.
hard copy games. Not every CD that you get if you buy a physical game on a PS5 actually has the game on it. There's a website, I can't remember what it's called. Does it run online or something like that, where you could actually search up a title and it'll tell you your physical game? Not really a physical game, it's just a key. All right, it's just a license to run that game. I think a good telltale sign on PS5, throw in your disc. If you buy a disc, throw it into your PS5. If you get a downloading thing, downloading file and then a copying file means there's probably no game on your disc. It's just a license. It's just a license that's going to the store telling it this guy is allowed to play this game. He has the license for it. Let him download it from the store digitally. And then you need to keep your disc inside just to say that you always have the license. Otherwise, it won't work. If you put in your disc and it reads copying, that's an indicator that if it reads copying immediately, that's an indicator that the game is actually natively on that disc, on that Blu-ray, and it is copying the information from the Blu-ray onto your PS5. It still doesn't constantly read the disc like we did back in the PS2 days, where it's constantly reading the disc for the information. No, it's copying the game file onto your PS5, but it
onto your
actually
SSD.
physically exists on the disc. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think Monster Hunter Wilds recently was like that. Put it in, did that. Split Fiction was recently like that. Put it in, copied right away.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Final Fantasy. Yeah, and also if a game like comes with more than one disc, that's usually a good indicator that the actual game is actually on the discs. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was like that, where you had to put in one disc and then download a certain or copy a certain amount and then switch. So yeah, we've been praising Switch for the fact that games are natively on Switch. It looks like that's gone by the wayside now. It looks like they've gone the same route as
Yeah, I guess we'll really see like what these games will end up being like in terms of ratio to game cards versus game keys. That'll be even more telling.
I think it has something to do with this influx of third-party games coming to this console, because a lot of these third-party games already run like that on PS5 and Xbox. Their physicals are just licenses, so they're just doing the same thing, and maybe Nintendo's compromising in order to bring these third-party.
Yeah,
they don't want to. They cannot compress maybe the game onto that little game card, right? So, it is.
Dude, I can't wait for Call of Duty to come out, and then it takes up half your base storage on your Switch.
The whole thing. We didn't get any Call of Duty confirmation, but yeah, the whole thing. We didn't get a lot of Xbox game confirmation, or any actually.
Yeah,
we didn't. There's been rumors for Xbox games coming to Switch, but we didn't get any. Maybe they want to be able to, control that marketing. Yeah, and then these Nintendo Switch 2 editions of some of these Switch games, like Kirby and whatnot, still costing $80.
That's heavy.
Yeah.
That's basically you just buying the game again.
Yeah, it's insane. I wonder what the upgrade paths are going to cost. What if they penalize you on the upgrade pass? The upgrade pass could be to cover the cost of the difference between the Switch version game and the Switch 2 version of the game, so an extra $10 or $15 or whatever. Or it could be like, screw you over. Yeah, you have Breath of the Wild on Switch 1.
Well, some of them are full DLC packs, right? Like the Kirby one and
yes. But I think they're gonna be. I'm thinking for like Switch for like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. Is it going to be, here's another extra $10, $20. You could play this with an advanced version, or is it going to be like, you need $40 to upgrade this?
I'm thinking it's probably closer to 30, 40 based on the pricing right now.
I bought the game already last year for 80 Canadian dollars or 90 Canadian dollars. I got to buy it again now for another $40, which puts me at 120.
You don't have to buy it again. You just can play the Switch 1 version of it. It's a rough time, I think. I based on like the pricing right now, I think it's going to be like $30.
They can't. That's just a scam. You bought a game 2 years ago for $90. It costs $10 more. But to upgrade, you need to spend another $40. So that means now you're spending $130 on Tears of the Kingdom? Come on, man. That's insane. That just doesn't make any financial sense. Who would even do that at that point? I'd just sell my Switch 2 copy because they hold value anyway, because they never go on sale. And then I'll sell my Switch 1 copy, buy the Switch 2 copy. Why would I follow the upgrade path? It's dumb. That makes no sense. Like the upgrade path on PS5 is, you want the PS5 version of the game, pays an extra $10 or $15. You own Horizon Zero Dawn on PS4, pay us another $15, you get Horizon Forbidden West on PS5. Even though you could buy a copy of Horizon Zero Dawn or not. Sorry, you could buy a copy of Horizon Zero Dawn for PS4 for like $10, whereas the PS5 version's like 65. You could buy that, upgrade for 15. You have the
Mhm.
thing for 30. Makes sense.
Yeah.
I follow the upgrade path. I'll buy the upgrade path. It'll give me incentive.
Yeah.
You
I
could tell
mean,
me
I guess
upgrade
we'll
path
just have to
costs more.
see.
The upgrade path cannot cost more than the difference between the two versions of the game. That makes no lot. That's me being penalized for buying the game early and buying it on Switch One. Like, it's just insanity. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like this is the mood. Everything.
Yeah. Sometimes Nintendo does things that don't make sense, you know?
Yeah. Then there's all these compatibility issues.
They
They're
weren't that
saying,
many though. Did you take a look at the
well,
list?
they kind of said there's backwards compatibility, backwards compatibility, and then they released a freaking list of like, oh, just FYI, after the direct, here's a list of. They didn't give us like a number. I remember PlayStation 5 when it came out, it said it's backwards compatible with all PS4 games except for like these 6 games or something, right? There's some pretty big ones here. There's like Alan Wake remastered. There's like Doom Eternal, Darksiders Genesis, Dead by Daylight, um, Ender Magnolia, Bloom and Mist, which just came out 2 months ago. There's a few of these. They're saying they're
Yeah.
investigating. Apparently, Fortnite, the Switch one version of Fortnite doesn't work on Switch 2.
Yeah, but I'm sure that this Switch 2 version is going to be very close to launch day.
Yeah, they're saying NBA 2K is coming to Switch 2. NBA 2K25 does not work on Switch 2 apparently.
Wow, Jurassic Park Classic Games Collection is fairly new too. Came out
Yeah,
few
there's a
months
few
ago.
of these. This is not an insignificant list. Wolfenstein. There's a few Japanese games over here still being investigated. They just have the issues being investigated. There seems to be two things. There's games which seems to have backwards compatibility issues and games which seem to have startup issues. They won't even start up.
Mm,
So you could look at the full list over there.
yeah,
I'm
we'll
not
link
too
it.
I mean, I'm not too concerned because like most of my Switch games are really Switch exclusives. But that's still pretty bad.
Accessories compatibility.
Accessories compatibility seemed to be looking a little bit better. The prices were announced for the accessories, which we don't need
Yeah.
to
Do
go
you
into
do
that.
you want to go? Do we want to list out some of the ones that?
You could pull that out if you want here.
Or why don't you tell them about the ones that that do still work?
Yes, so they're kind of intuitive. I don't think anything shocking. Obviously, your old Joy Cons they're compatible, but they're not going to slide onto your Switch and handheld. Makes sense.
Same with the Pro controller.
Same with
It
the Pro
works.
controller, it works.
Yeah,
Let me find this
the
here.
old charger for your Switch 1 doesn't work because it doesn't give enough power to your dock. So do keep that in mind.
Yes, yeah. Well, it works to charge your Switch 2, but it doesn't work if you're trying to play docked,
Yeah.
right?
And then also you want to switch out the HDMI. So like I know a lot of people have like, they're lazy to like reach behind their TV and pull out their old HDMI cable, but the new Switch does come with a faster HDMI cable. I don't know the standard for it. It must be a 2.1.
It must be because if they're saying 4K 120 FPS or
Yeah,
1080p.
then it'll have
It's
to
a yeah.
be.
So I think what they're saying is a long-winded thing of like this thing runs on HDMI 2.1, which is what the Series X and the PS5 run on in order to get their full functionality. So if you have any, you don't just plug in any HDMI into this thing because you will not get the full functionality of any HDMI. You need HDMI 2.1 to be able to run these things simultaneously. It
Yeah.
sounds like it's going to come with it.
Yeah.
So
Assuming that your TV is like 4K and stuff like that. If you're going to be playing on like a 1080p TV, I don't know who has a 1080p nowadays. Then yeah, you're probably fine to use your old HDMI, but for the bigger resolutions.
a lot of the controllers that we talked about, the NES and the SNES and the N64 and the Sega Genesis controllers that come with a Nintendo Switch Online, those are compatible. Adjustable charging stand, I don't know what that is. That's not compatible. Obviously, your old Nintendo Switch dock is not compatible. You talked about the AC adapter, HDMI cable, the micro SD cards. We talked about that. Nintendo GameCube controller adapter is adaptable. Obviously, the Joy-Con straps are not adaptable. The Joy-Cons don't fit. And same with the Joy-Con grips, they are also different. And same with the Joy-Con wheel, right? And the leg strap, and the ring con for Ring Fit Adventure. Naturally, it's a different size Joy-Con, so it makes sense that those aren't going to work. But
I've got the pricing now up as well. So
yes,
we'll do the big ticket items. So Switch 2 Pro controller, $79.99. This is USD. Jeez. Switch to Joy-Con 2 controllers, 90 USD.
they're only like $100 Canadian for the Switch One ones.
Yeah, they're gonna be like way more. Switch to Joy-Con 2 charging grip. So that's like, I guess, the one that's just not a dummy grip, the one that can actually
Charges it when
charge
you're
your
holding it.
Joy-Cons as you play. 35 USD. Replacement straps are 12.99 USD. The Joy-Con wheels is 20 USD. Switch 2 camera is 50 USD. And then if you want an extra dock, it is 110 USD. Jeez.
It's climbing up. Yeah, we'll find out what the Canadian pricing is because they're not always a 1-to-1 conversion. But hey, at least some games get free updates for better playability, like Mario Odyssey and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. They did not confirm that during the show, but they confirmed that after.
Yeah, there's a list of them on the website as well.
Yeah,
So
right
we'll
here.
link that in the show notes.
Let's see. Captain Toad, Arms, Mario Odyssey, Super Mario 3D World, Bowser's Fury, Clubhouse Games, Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening, Echoes of Wisdom, Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, Pokemon Scarlet Violet, Brain Academy. So yeah, a lot of Switch One games. I'm surprised not as much as I thought for improvements. Unlike PS5 when we would get those patches for those games where all these PS4 games were working better. We got some new box art. Thoughts?
I'm not like the biggest fan. I think the red is like a little bit too gimmicky. I wish they went with a different color, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a little bit bright on the eyes, and I think I was telling you I don't really like when game boxes have the same spine art and just like random text written. Battery life, apparently there's confirmations that the battery was better, but I wouldn't read into it that means the battery life is better because this machine's also going to be pulling out more than what the Switch One was drawing for power,
Yeah, especially with bigger screen, HDR support, and then also on top of that, the higher refresh rate.
Exactly. That is all going to cost more battery power. Yeah, so that's kind of a full list of everything I see here. I did see this GameCube controller. There was an article saying that the GameCube controller will only be offered to those who pre-order the console.
I'm sure they'll open it up later. I wouldn't be too worried about any of that, to be honest. Like the accessories will always be in stock. Yeah, I think we should end the show with, are you buying day one? Or are you buying it at all?
I'm not gonna lie. The direct was really good, and the after I was pretty salty about the after. Especially with the way, like, just tell me it's $600. It's okay, I understand. Or 630 Canadian, if that's the case. But and also maybe the first party lineup is not exactly as strong as I thought I wanted it to be. And these game prices, I think I'm gonna pre-order and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna buy it. Let's be honest.
Yeah. So if you pre-order it, you'll most likely just pay for it and just end up picking it up just because you have one out of convenience.
Yeah. The Switch isn't my primary console anyway. It's probably going to be more of my handheld console.
Or secondary.
And I have been thinking about buying a handheld console just because I can't really game anymore in front of my kids. Both because I don't want them to see what I'm playing and because they won't let me, actually. My son will lose it and be like, just put Astrobot on. Come to me and be like, no, Astrobot.
So I've made up my decision. I'm gonna put in a pre-order no matter what, just in case you can't get one or if one of my friends can't get one. So then I guess the caveat is if my friends can't get one, then I'll just sell it to them for whatever I got it for. And if they do get one, then maybe I'll keep it. What I really want to get is one with an OLED screen or one that's a special edition. So like if they make a Metroid Prime 4 special edition.
I don't think you're going to get one of those anytime soon.
Yeah. It won't be anytime soon, but like
the OLED, expect 2 years. 2 years they'll make an OLED one.
You think 2 years? Well, I mean, even a special edition. I think realistically a special edition could be on the table for like next year. More so like
they need a first party game.
I mean, if they come out with a new Zelda first party game.
Which one? Which is Zelda first party game?
I don't know. Or Mario. They usually do a Mario one.
Which Mario? Why didn't they show it at the
direct? Maybe it's for 2026, 2027. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
if they come up with the Dusk Bloods, I'll get one.
Yeah. Or maybe I will like wait for even like the winter and see if they do like a bigger game bundle. Like I'm not in like unless Metroid Prime drops like literally in July, then
You don't
I
think it's going
like
to be sooner than later? I think it's going to be sooner than later.
I think it's gonna be later. I think it's gonna be holiday season.
Really?
So like I would rather have Metroid Prime bundled than Mario Kart bundled, to be honest. So
Oh, agreed.
I mean, I'm not in a rush for this, to be honest.
I mean, I'm not either, but it's kind of like whatever. I'll get it eventually. Like, it's not going to get cheaper, right? PS5 did not get cheaper. What did I really need a PS5 at launch? It was
I
Demon
did.
Souls and Miles Morales. Miles Morales you could play on PS4.
I mean, I did because of Miles Morales.
Why? What do you mean?
I just really wanted to play it on the new
But,
hardware.
yeah, but do you really need to?
Yeah, man.
No, you don't. You don't need to. But so it's like whatever it was, and then what was after that? Returnal, Ratchet and Clank.
Ratchet and Clank was also a bit top on the list.
Yeah, but you could have waited for those two games, right? There were not. So, but I still got a day one because I'm like, whatever. I'm good to cut to the chase. I'm gonna get it eventually. I'm not gonna. Why would I wait? Like, what's the difference? Is there
Yeah,
gonna
that's
be a
true.
sale? There's not gonna be a sale. Actually, the prices went up. So don't think you're gonna get this thing on sale. It's not. It's not gonna get cheaper than this, and it's already coming with a bundle, which saves you some money. What game ever got bundled with the Switch One though? Besides Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, every year. Every year was Mario Kart 8 Deluxe bundle. Remember the Switch
Sometimes they did
holiday?
they did like an Mario Odyssey, and then I think Mario Kart, and then the console itself for one of those years. I'm pretty sure.
I always remember seeing the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe bundle. Like there was never ever Tears of the Kingdom bundle
Yeah, I
or
guess
Breath
that's
of the
true.
Wild.
I don't know. I'm just holding out because I want a different colored console.
Yeah, I mean, who cares? It's just different Joy Cons, right?
Different Joy Cons, different
Did we ever
main
have
body
we never
as
had a
well.
different we never had a different body though ever for the Switch one. Did we? There was the gray
Yeah,
one at
yeah.
launch.
The Zelda one.
No, I'm talking about like regular colors, not some special freaking edition.
Oh, the body was always black.
I
Yeah,
think there
yeah.
was a gray one at launch or something.
It was a gray on gray, basically.
Yeah.
But the body itself was the same. I think it was just the Joy-Con colors.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just kind of like the showcase was really good. I'm really interested in the hardware. I really want a handheld console. The game lineup, I don't care too much for the third party stuff because it's already stuff that I've played or owned on another console, mostly. Some of the stuff that's coming is kind of interested in. I'm interested in, but the first party stuff is kind of like, meh, who cares, right? Like Mario Kart, cool. I'll play Mario Kart every now and then. It's not gonna be my game of the year. Metroid Prime 4, okay, yes, whenever that comes out. Mario Party Jamboree, I'll get that expansion. Cool stuff. Breath of the Wild, maybe I'll, depending on how much this thing's gonna cost. Actually, if they ask me $40 for their version of Breath of the Wild, I'm gonna say no. I'm not gonna. And yeah, I don't know.
Sounds like we're both copying it,
Well, I
no
guess
matter
okay.
what.
Long story short, I'm gonna cop it for Dusk Bloods for sure, which is 2026. So might as well cut to the chase. If I could get it now,
That's fair.
whatever. That was a long episode, but there was news just dropping left, right, and center, man. We
Yeah.
needed the Mega Switch episode. We needed it.
It's in prep for mega evolutions from Pokemon.
I'm gonna change the episode name. I had it as like bonus episode. I'm gonna go mega episode.
The Mega Switch.
The Mega Switch. So we won't record this weekend. This will kind of fill in the gap. We got some other news from this week. Nothing crazy. We could bundle all that up with next week and talk about the games we're playing next week. So the week after that. But yeah. For now, be patient for whatever drops after this, but this should fill in the gap for a while. Thanks for joining us for this special mega episode of our Nintendo Switch 2 reacts. Don't forget to follow the Slow Run Cast everywhere you get your podcasts on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Ring the bell so you get the notification when the episode drops. And like and subscribe. Thanks, guys. We're out.